So, I probably should have thought about this before I started streaming, but let's not hesitate or wait any time. Let's jump in and give Tony a call and get things going.
Hello.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, Mike. What's going on, man?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Let me get this on. There we go. Now I'm here.
It's been a while.
Yeah, dude. I'm glad that we can make this happen too.
Yeah,
How's everything by you?
I can't complain. How about you?
Busy? Yeah, no complaints here either. I'm not in Levittown anymore. I'm in Island Park now, which is obviously different, but another world as Long Beach is right here. So a lot of the shows that we do are in Long Beach, which makes it a little more convenient for me.
Right.
But are you still in Levittown?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, man.
I haven't been. God, I haven't been to Island Park in since Sandy because I did so. I helped with cleanup a little bit down there after Sandy.
Sure. That's nice. What,
Yeah.
like volunteer work or like for somebody or
For a family friend. For a family friend.
nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Um. Well, I mean, it shows how long it's been since we've spoken to each other. I've kept up with your, kept with you there, kept up with you on Facebook, and I knew you moved, but yeah.
Yeah,
So,
man, time flies. You know how it goes.
oh
Once you're out
yeah,
of high school and college, forget
oh yeah.
it.
I mean, that's what it is with especially with the pandemic and the fun we had with the pandemic.
Oh God.
I mean, I guess it may. I mean, timeline wise, it may not be the proper place to start, but I know during the pandemic you used to do
Of
the
course.
porch talks.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm glad you brought those up. People, I loved doing those. Yeah, they were good inspiration for me as well as for other people. That was the intention of those. Um, and I hope it helped anybody. I've actually had I miss doing those to start just to start this conversation. I sure do miss doing those. I just didn't. I had more time then, as most people did,
Right,
and I
right.
figured let me put some of my time in the right thing, and I felt like doing that was a nice way to shed light on some things that weren't getting attention, things that needed looking at in a positive way that were just not being even looked at because of COVID. So it was fun for me. I did put a lot of time and effort into it, just like you do with what you do here, and and I appreciate you noticing that.
Oh yeah. I mean, if Sean Evans has taught me anything, it's you got to do your research.
Right, right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And I spent a bit of time on your YouTube channel and Facebook pages, and
Yeah, some things are a little outdated on YouTube. I know that, but
yeah,
Facebook and Instagram, I try and stay up to date on.
yeah, yeah.
But there's some old videos for sure on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Hey, you got a lot of your videos have more views than I do, so
I don't even know what's up there.
I mean, music, 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 music. That's what it does,
Yeah, yeah.
But now, was it just as far as the porch talks? Was it just like your way of trying to get, keep yourself busy during, like, keep yourself from being stir crazy and that stuff from like being shut in? You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
what was the prompt for you to do the porch talk?
Um, that was definitely a big prompt was exactly that, just trying to do something, but also it wasn't as I guess what happens is, I got so used to performing, and part of the
Right.
deal with performing live is you're taking people's worries away for, the 2 hours or whatever you're doing it for. And I guess without that, I was trying to convey a way of doing that. Um, Besides the typical way, which most people were doing also, which was performing via Facebook Live, or Instagram Live. And I did some of that too, don't get me wrong. But it was just
Right.
another ways to shed some positivity. Yeah, in a time where I had a little extra time and wasn't working at the time, and actually got into the studio and things like that once COVID started to open up a bit more, which helped me with my music, writing music, which that's a whole nother subject that I haven't really touched in a while. Um, but yeah, I would just chalk it up to, like you said, is time and making the world a better place. That's always what I try to do.
Well, let me get a little lighting better. It's that's what a lot of us tried to do during the pandemic. At least start with
Hmm.
ourselves, and then start with ourselves and then work backwards. I guess
Mm, I
you
like
know,
that.
because as they always say, you can't make other people better if you're in the dumps yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Although many of I always look to like the Robin Williams of the world, and
Oh yeah.
people who were suffering from the inside and just were unbelievable talents on the outside.
Well,
But you're right. I don't
well,
disagree with
yeah. In that
that.
situation, it's where you don't want somebody to feel the way you do.
Bingo,
You know,
bingo.
I think all of us have. I think all of us have been there.
Mm.
That all of us don't. All of the one thing that all of us want is nobody to feel the pain or the suffering that we feel, and unfortunately, that's one of the things that are left unsaid. That because of the stigma with mental health, it's not spoken about nearly as much as it probably should be.
I agree. I 100 million bajillion% agree. Um, I'm a big proponent of all things mental health, and
Hmm.
um, I have to agree. Even myself, like I find myself struggling a lot to talk about certain things on social media platforms, just because of what you just said. It's become a stigma.
Right.
Once you mention certain things, you know, um, about mental health, some people tend to turn the other way and
Right.
kind of disregard what you're talking about. But yeah, that's not on you and me because we can openly talk about it. So that's cool.
Right. And I'll even mention to those who were listening that I even went to Tony last year about possibly working with Hashtag Hope, which Hashtag Hope was the charity that I worked with back in May last year. For those who don't know, number one, the Hashtag Hope bot is always active in the stream. It is designed to give people any information and any. It's there to help if you need it. But Hashtag Hope is their main focus is suicide prevention and mental health awareness. But the issue was that they are too small at this point to branch out into America as they are a Canadian charity.
Right.
But I mean, Tony was more than willing to work with them. It's just the reach that they have currently is not where they could sustain branching into America. But that also shows how long me and Tony have been trying to do something together.
Yeah. Isn't that true? In a minute.
But yeah, it's have you adjusted to back? Speaking of the pandemic, have you adjusted to things
Hmm.
back since things started coming back to normal, or how have you adjusted to life after the shutdown?
I think you said it best before, and that's that the world got faster since then.
Yeah,
Um, I just felt like time stood still during the pandemic, and um, ever since then, it slowly got faster and faster and faster, and now it's to the point where I can't keep up with the days, and it's just flying by. I definitely, in terms of life in general, with my work life, it's I've had the busiest 2 years I've ever had, and I think it's because of pent up. Um, people haven't gone out. People haven't, for however long it was, a year and a half, 2 years. Some people where they hadn't gone out in a long time. So then, they're whatever they had in their banks and stuff didn't matter to them because they just wanted to go out and see live music and they wanted to go out and enjoy themselves because they got tired of being in. And even till 2000, we were still going into 2022, New Year's of 2022. The pandemic was hitting again, with the amount of COVID coming back around. Um, that caused another scare and a large uptick and that allowed for so many people to get scared again. And that wasn't even that long ago. That's a
right,
year ago from today.
right,
Um, but I guess to answer your question, it's been an efficient adjustment because you had to be.
right, right. Yeah. I mean, I can attest to that because, I mean, I guess in a way it's, now looking in hindsight, you see how much it affected everything, how much, like, I used to think I wasn't very affected by the pandemic and how, because that's what I started doing during the pandemic, collecting.
Nice.
Collecting wrestling memorabilia. I'm at well over 400 pieces now in 3 years,
That's epic.
but the wall in front of me used to be completely bare. And I think that the only reason why I made it through the early part of the pandemic was because of collecting. And then in the latter half of the pandemic, September 2020, that's when I started doing this.
Oh, okay. Wow, man, that's great.
That's when I
That's been
started
going a long
streaming.
time.
So I would. I mean, it's hard to say now that the pandemic didn't affect me. Just the idea of not of very being very limited to what you can do. Because right now, I mean, I don't. I will admit I don't go out that much. But having the option to go out is different than having the option where you not having the option at all.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And like you've done yourself, a lot of people have found the pandemic has given them a new niche, you know?
Right.
Um, and that's awesome to
Right.
to find something that's the one thing that people don't always talk about, but you see it a lot with people working from home now.
Right.
They've gotten a new style of life because of the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
Um, and there are some things that I do miss for sure.
Right.
Um, yeah.
I mean, my brother and my mom before the pandemic, they were office workers, but now my mom, I would say, well, I guess they both, I guess they both work at the same pace at home, but I would
Right.
say my mom probably works less at home and more at the office because she has more of an option to go in
Okay.
because
So
of
it's
her position.
right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of places are doing kind of like what's the model? Like 3 days on, 2 days off or something
Yeah.
like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, to some more positive, to more
Nah, it's
positive.
all good. I could talk about that stuff, but I know where you're coming from.
I mean, in every interview and every conversation I've had, it seems like we always shift to the pandemic at some point. But
Yeah.
it, I mean, I guess the best place to start is, I mean, I know I mean, we've known each other since high school pretty much, and
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
How is it starting a band in high school and still being in the profession all these years later?
I never thought it would be. I'll start there. um, I was a kid. What was I, 15? And we started Floodwire. That was
Mm-hmm.
my first band with all Levittown, from Division Avenue, students. And I uh, I was not classically trained musician or anything of that imagination. For I didn't perceive myself to even think about doing this. Um, Dave Alini, at the time, was one of my good friends. He was starting up a band, and he had said to me, "Hey, you know a lot of the music that we do." And I said, "Yeah, I like to listen to it. Doesn't mean I can sing it." So he brought me into their rehearsal space, and we started practicing. Um, I really liked what they had going on there, the guitar riffs, and we started to just put lyrics over it. And next thing I knew, I was singing in a band. I really had no idea that it was going to head that direction. I was always a big fan of Led Zeppelin, Bob Seger, basically anything you heard on Q1043, I listened to it. And Dave knew that. So we would always have conversations in
Mm-hmm.
science class in high school. Um, Dr. Pam, actually, I remember his class. and and so Floodwire began, and then it was a hobby that I took serious. It
Right.
wasn't a career. And then in time, I don't know, like anything else, I guess if you work hard and you just keep, working at yourself, working at your craft, um, it became something bigger and bigger. And now, with Crush and my own duo gigs, solo work, um, it's become a source of income, and it's become a huge part of my life that I just never saw coming.
Right.
Yeah, it was one of those things, and became everything to me because, um, I guess there's just such an amazing feeling when I can look into a crowd, or even if it's playing to one person. I've played to crowds of one, I've played to crowds of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing someone smiling or laughing, and having a good time. And I always say forgetting about their worries for 2 hours,
Right.
that's priceless to me. And to get paid to do it doesn't hurt.
Right. I mean, I
um,
completely agree. I mean, that's how I feel about
yeah,
that's how I feel about streaming. I don't. It doesn't matter how
same
many people are
thing.
watching. If
Yeah, you
if
just need one, honestly. I always
right,
joke about that, but you
right,
just need one. If I made someone else's day that day, that's it. Because, like you said earlier, when somebody's down in the dumps, and that's always been one of my go-to thoughts in what I do every day. I don't want someone to feel as low as I have felt in the past. So
right,
when I've had such a low time, when I'm doing this, I realize that I'm giving someone the opportunity to not get to that point at all,
right,
and in fact, get to the opposite.
right.
Complete opposite end of the spectrum.
And
Um,
I mean, ironically enough, I had electronic music with David.
yeah,
I was in electronic
and
music with David.
with Mr. Harris,
Miss Mr.
probably.
Harris, yeah. I of
Crazy
course
man.
was with the guys from the baseball team, and
Right.
we would just play games and you know just bullshit all through the thing. Mr. Harris didn't care because he was off with the guys who were taking the class seriously, teaching them, and we were over here doing and I'm like, I mean, it was a pretty solid gig. I mean, I sat down, listened to music, played games, and I mean the amount of games that I would find, they would be like, "How the fuck did you find that?" And we're like, I was like, "Well, I know where to look."
Mr. Harris's class.
Yeah,
Best class I ever had.
yeah. I would argue as far as high school is concerned. Yeah, same for me. Not for a good reason, but for
Yeah, yeah. There wasn't a lot getting done. Let's just say that.
yeah. Well, I did a lot in Pac-Man.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I'll even put this out there that I probably should have mentioned this earlier. That This is Tony, local musician from the area. We've, like I said, we've known each other since high school. He's a part of the band Crush. So if you're in a local area, I know you. I could be wrong, but you perform. You mostly perform down at the Nautical Mile, right? Like in that general vicinity.
The inn in Long Beach often, which is Long Beach. I mean,
So,
we're nautical mile everywhere. Honestly, it's if it's on Long Island and it's a music venue, we pretty much play there.
well,
You
I
know
was
what I
gonna say
mean?
Mulcahy's, but I didn't remember if you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've played there. Just to name a few, Nutty Irishman in Farmingdale. The Warehouse is in Amityville, 89 North, big venue in Patchogue. Yeah, so pretty much anywhere on Long Island, from east to west.
right, right.
Yeah.
But I would also say that I actually am using this to try out a different software that somebody suggested to me, as where I can make a command in the stream and it would play a video. And let's show off the video now of Mr. Tony singing.
Someone told me long ago
I got it from your YouTube channel.
there's a calm before a storm. I know it's been coming for some time. When it's over, so to say, it'll rain a sunny day. I know it's shining down like water, and I wanna know.
It's when you have you ever seen the rain?
seen the rain?
It's a clip from when you sang Have You Ever Seen the Rain?
I wanna know.
Nice.
Have you ever seen the rain?
Hey, Leash.
Coming down on a sunny day.
But yeah, well, I say that because usually I do the intro at the beginning, but me and Tony just hopped into the conversation like we've known each other for, like we've known each other for X amount, and by the way, Leash says hi. Leash is from the chat,
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
of course. But ironically enough, I will put it out there that I don't really talk to many people I went to high school with anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
outside of you, and you were two grade. You were in my brother's grade, were you?
I'm 20. Geez, it's been so long. I graduated
Or
2011 high school. Was my
so
graduating
you
year.
were okay. So you were the year before my brother, because you
Right.
no, no, you were the
I
year
don't think
before
we were
me.
the year
You were the
before
year
you.
after my brother.
Correct. You're my sister's age,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I graduated with your sister. Yeah.
that's it.
Well, I knew we'd figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
Point
It's been a
is,
long time, man.
yeah,
2011.
yeah.
What? I'm gonna be in 2023. Shit.
Po- Point is, we went to high school together, um, and as you heard us reminiscing early on about some classes we had, but now, well, if you just so anybody knows, I have the list of stuff that I did from my research down next to me. That's why I keep looking down.
I
Uh,
assumed.
yeah.
I've been in your shoes. I get it.
Why not? Why not touch it? I know you touched upon it a little bit when you were talking about starting a band in high school, but musical influences.
Absolutely. Um, Led Zeppelin. I'm gonna just start there.
Hmm.
Uh, right there.
If you can't, if you can't tell.
uh, yeah, I was 10 years old. I was listening to the entire Led Zeppelin albums, all of their 10 albums, and then it turned into Bob Seger, Rolling Stones, The Doors. I was a big Doors fan. Um, David Bowie was a huge influence to me. All these icons, rest in peace. I'm sure I'm mentioning so many that, of course, have fallen. Um, and
Fleetwood Mac.
uh, of course, yep, Fleetwood
Hmm.
Mac. Uh, Geez, man, I could go on forever. Hall Notes, CCR, even Elvis, Metallica, U2. And it's funny because you get a lot of influences from these artists who everybody knows and loves. But then in the modern era, a lot of newer bands came around that obviously took stuff from
Right.
these bands that aren't as popular. But
Hmm.
I've gotten influences from bands such as like The Darkness. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. They do um, I Believe in a Thing Called Love. It was a popular song. Um, uh, and then I found myself listening to Harry Styles became one of my big influences later on in life. I How that happened, I it surprised me, but I love his music. I love his performances. I go to about as many shows as I can when he's performing. Um, yeah, so I mean, it's basically if you're gonna ask me what are my influences in a nutshell, Q1043. Anything you've ever heard on 102.3 BAB or Q1043, that's probably my influence. And then in terms of today's age, as a performer, we've learned that the most times people want to hear those 90s and 2000s songs, like the
Right.
Mr. Brightsides and like the Killers and Blink 182 and you know Valerie by Amy Winehouse. Everybody loves. So very diverse, but the roots are in blues, classic rock.
Well, that also goes to another question that I noticed that a lot of your music revolves around the 70s and 80s,
Yeah,
and with your influences touching upon, I mean, with you touching upon your influences, that's the likely reason why that's the case. Am I fair in that estimation?
absolutely. Great estimation. I mean, for uh, in the music scene too, I'd love to go out there and play all of the songs that I love,
Right.
but people aren't gonna jive to that. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm someone who likes deep tracks, a little bit more than I like the typical things that are on the radio, like that you're gonna
Right.
hear every day. Um, I get more satisfaction in listening to those songs, but I know that performing them, the would not be the same reaction. So I have to give a little to get a little, I guess, if you will. You got to play songs
Well,
that
yeah.
you might not necessarily want to play, but um, you still get the rush because you're making someone's day.
Oh, yeah, of course. And, I mean, I know that performing on the island, I'm sure that there are certain songs that you could play and get a pop from the audience every time.
Don't matter where you're playing.
Uh-huh.
You know, uh, for us, that's Valerie by Amy Winehouse. All ages. I mean, if you're 70, you know that song, and if you're 20, you know that song. Why? I don't know, but everybody loves Valerie, and I love it. Um, uh, Another one that always really goes over well is like "We Do Smooth" by Carlos Santana. Is a fan favorite for people, and Rob Thomas. Um, we also do a lot of Queen, and that's now become, you
Yeah.
know, the world's favorite band,
Yeah.
as we like to call it. And it's an honor and a great feeling to know that us, Crush as a band has been known for our Queen covers, which isn't an easy task. So I'm proud of that we give it justice, and people definitely come to our shows to see Queen
Right.
songs. So that's all ages again. I play that at the inn to a crowd of mostly 21 to 28-year-olds. We'll be playing Somebody to Love or Crazy Little Thing Called Love or Fat Bottom Girls, and the place goes wild, you know.
Right.
Um, and then sometimes you'll break into like a Weezer song, and you would think everybody would know it, and then they don't, and you're like, wait a second, how come Queen is working, but like
Yeah. Yeah.
Weezer won't work? Like,
Yeah, I mean
but
that's part of the thing, and I will segue back to that in a second. But as Long Island natives, you got, I mean, and with your influence, with your musical influences being in the '70s and '80s,
yeah,
Billy Joel.
yeah, of course. I mean, as a band, I'll be honest, we don't often cover him. But when I play the acoustic duo, we always play him.
Right.
Jimmy and I play. We'll do like, oh God, what the heck? I always say it. I always forget the name of the song. Come out, Virginia. Don't let me wait. I
Oh,
can't forget. Why can't I
longest.
think?
No, that's not
Only
longest
the
time.
good die young.
Yeah, that's what
Thank
it
you.
is.
Yeah. And that's every time we start that song, everybody starts singing along.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
So Billy Joel for sure, for sure. And there's so many Long Island musicians, famous Long Island musicians in the world.
right. And but there ain't many songs that mention our hometown,
No.
like Leningrad does.
Yeah, dude. I talk about that a lot. I actually met Billy Joel once, which was pretty cool. Um, and it was kind of funny. I basically gave him my whole story. I was like, "Yeah, I grew up in Levittown. I used to drive up to the Green, and go to get DiMaggio's pizza, uh, which was, where they used to hang out. And I still play over there sometimes at the bar. It's called the Double L Tavern next door to DiMaggio's Pizzeria.
Yeah.
And um, I spoke to Billy Joel about this whole thing, and basically it was like, I'm a musician, yada yada yada, telling him all my details, and he didn't have much to say. uh, and I guess, you know what? If I was in his shoes, I guess I wouldn't have much to say either. It's like,
Right.
great, great kid. You came from my town, awesome, and you're a musician, cool. Like,
Right. You know.
and so I basically told him, thank you for all your influence. And he said, you're welcome. And that was pretty much the extent of the conversation. But yeah, I have mixed reviews on my feelings of that conversation, because I was like, oh, I met Billy Joel. And then the end result was kind of like me having diarrhea of the mouth,
Right.
and him just being like, okay, you're welcome. Peace out. Have a good life.
Yeah. I mean that may it's hard It's a hard time when you talk to your musical or idols in
Oh,
general.
yeah, exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
I
And
mean, I've met certain people, and I've also left certain people dumbfounded that I actually know who they are.
oh, really?
No.
Like who? Anybody in like
Uh,
in the wrestling world, or?
yeah, it was a backstage, a guy who's more known for handling event production and stuff like that. But because of how thorough I am with knowledge of the background scene, and I left the guy dumbfounded. I actually wanted a picture with him, but I'm like, I know who you are, and you've been in the
Aw,
business for 30 years, so yeah, I'll take a picture with you.
that's flattering, though.
Do I know where the picture is? Not really, but I took a picture with him.
Right. That's
So
cool. But
Gary
that's flattering. I'm sure you made his day. Who
you know
was that anyway?
Gary Juster, if you're listening, or Gary Jester, if you're. But yeah, I
That's
mean,
awesome.
my dad would always tell us the story about how him and Billy Joel went to the same school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they both went to the school in Hicksville. They both went to school in Hicksville.
Right, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think Billy Joel was a few grades ahead, or maybe maybe my dad's cousin was in the same grade or something like that as
Yeah,
Billy
Billy
Joel.
Joel's like 72, I think.
Um, But the point I wanted to make, put a segue, put a pin in, but to get back to before I made the point about Billy Joel was the importance of crafting the show based on the audience, and like not being stubborn when it comes to I want to play like you said earlier. If I wanted to play the music that I just wanted to play, rather than what people want to hear, like is it where like you have the start of a like do you go through where like music comedians play the smaller shows to craft up their act, and then once they get to the bigger shows they have their act down pat. Like do you have the same like your start the start of your rotation, and then you craft up the show as you get to the bigger shows, or do you have like a plan in mind?
See, that's a very, very apt analysis and comparison because in my life, I'm a little different, but this is how I would definitely be parallel to what you just said. When Jimmy and I have the duo shows, as me singing and Jimmy on guitar, and sometimes I play a little guitar as well. Jimmy and I tend to test songs with the crowds at those shows. So they're
Mm-hmm.
usually smaller crowds. They're usually dinner crowds. We play to the duo shows tend to be more dinner crowds, and rather than like late night party, everybody's just going out to drink kind of crowd and dance and watch the band. And with those, we'll rehearse a song with the full band in our practice spaces,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can bring it to a smaller gig with Jimmy and I and see if people dig it, just the two of us. And I've always felt that if a song's good with just an acoustic guitar, it's going to be even better with a full band. So
Right.
many a time, that's kind of how we can test the waters. And like for one example, just off the top of my head, 1985, Bowling for Soup. I'm sure you're familiar. Did we just hit the wall? You never had it all. Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy and I did that one time acoustic, and the whole place was singing. And I'm like, well, you know what? If it's going to work acoustic, it's definitely going to work with the full band. And so that's what we've done a lot of times is we've tried something acoustic and we knew it worked. So then we brought it to the band and it worked with the band. So that's definitely one of our approaches. But also as a band, we do a lot of research and a lot of homework. Um, I don't know exactly what every band out there does, but I can tell you straight up that we rehearse at least once a week. Um, and we all have full-time jobs. This is not our only gig. So we rehearse once a week, and we also create set lists down there in the studio. And we work hard at it. I'll tell you,
Right.
man, we work hard at it, and we create set lists to basically tailor the venue we're playing.
Right.
Because some nights we've gotten to a point where we play all different kinds of venues. Like I said, we'll play the Inn with 21-year-old crowds, and then we'll play, the Warehouse in Amityville, which is kind of more of a mixed crowd. I would say the starting age is like 40 a lot of
Right.
times in those crowds. So, not that they don't like those 2000s songs and the 90s songs, but they tend to, gravitate more towards the 80s and 70s a little bit more
When they were
because they
happy.
grew up in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, it's like anything else. It's research,
Right.
and trial and error.
Right. Right.
Sometimes we do things. I can admit this that we rehearse the hell out of, and we feel so good about it, and we're like, "This is gonna be so good," And then we play it live, and one night, and the reaction is just like not what we expected.
Right.
We're expecting everybody to sing it back to us, and it doesn't happen. And then we're like, you know what? Maybe it was the venue. And then we bring it to a different venue, and then it works out fantastic, and everybody's singing it. So
Right.
it's very
Mm-hmm.
based on the clientele,
Right.
as the
Right.
question
Right. Right.
asked,
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will.
All right.
Just
Sorry.
making notes. Um. Well, I will also put it out there to chat just to leave it to you guys that if you guys have any questions throughout the stream, feel free to just throw them out there. And same to you. If you have any questions to me, this is more of a conversation rather than an interview.
Oops. Absolutely. Sorry.
But what well, yeah, I mean that's the bit of importance, and I think a lot of people also undersell how important that is, crafting the show and putting in the effort, putting in the work, knowing the direction, and it's also like I used to be told by somebody that
Sorry. Go ahead. I'm listening.
I would say that music that tells a story is better than like how do you put it, music that is more crafted for the radio, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
From somebody in that perspective, do you think it's a matter of opinion, or do you have a preference one side or the other?
Uh, I mean, everything's always up for interpretation. Is the easy answer
Right.
out? Um,
Well,
yeah. I mean, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say I'd give you an example just to give a little bit of an easier, um, like my, old school country music as opposed to new age country music. Like the old school country music was more telling a story. The new age country music is more, about drinking, relationships, shit like that.
Yeah, I am not. I hate admitting this because people are
And I'll get
so
to your question in a
into
sec,
new
Leash, right
country.
after this.
I hate admitting it, but like I don't get the whole new country thing. But that's a side note.
Right.
People love it. I mean, I have different interpretation, but
I
that's
love it. I'm a big country music proponent, but it depends on who. I
when
have my
somebody tells me that
favorites.
Chris Stapleton is country. I'm a huge Chris Stapleton fan, but to me, he's not country. He's more soul. He's more blues. And then I listen to like an Eric Church. Okay, that's country.
Right.
That's on its own.
Yeah. I
You
mean, I think
know,
it may be that people view Chris Stapleton as like, I know him from country, so I view him as country.
I think that's what it is. Also,
Right. But we'll put a pin in this and get to the question
sure.
from. We'll put a pin in this and get to the question from chat because Leash has a question for you. Do you not find it hard? Find it so hard because it is so competitive that so many bands, so many singers. Like, do you not find it as a very, you know, uh, I guess a competitive field to be in?
Extremely. I mean, I'll tell you straight up. It's I feel it's one of the most saturated um, fields you can be in because everybody has a band now. I mean,
Right.
no one's stopping anybody from saying that they're a band. It's not like you have to pass a test to become a band. You know what I mean?
Right.
So everyone's doing it, and they're bringing out their friends, and because their friends are going to support them, which they should.
Right.
That's a great thing. But what oftentimes I see is it becomes saturated. So let's just I'll throw this out there for example. I have a band. We've been around for a while. We're doing well. We have a good big following. Everything's going great.
Hmm.
But now, and we're getting paid. Let's say I'm just being stupid, throwing out dumb numbers. $10 a show. Now everything's great. These are not obviously regular figures. But now because everyone else is starting bands, now these venues can decide. You know what? Yeah, Tony's band's great, but this band's gonna come in. I don't care what they sound like. They're bringing all their friends, so I'm gonna pay them $10 also. So it becomes the problem with the business to me is because of the oversaturation. It's very hard to get pay increases. It's very hard to compete because it is so competitive. So because there's so many bands out there, all these venues have the advantage. They can pay
Right.
kind of what they want. I mean, listen, if you sound terrible and you're not bringing anybody to the shows, they're losing money. They're not going to obviously
Right.
hire you. But there's a lot of bands out there um, that bring a lot of people that
Right.
might not sound, you know, the best, quote unquote. But because they bring people, a venue doesn't really care. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right.
so there's that aspect of it that kind of stinks. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think once you've gotten past that point and you've gotten to a professional level where, you know, you have a certain, you know, um, amount of money that you as a band, you know, kind of won't go out for less than, if you will,
Right.
you know, then we've worked our way towards that. You know, we've been doing it long enough where it feels like we've stepped into another level, and
Right.
which is such an accomplishment, and I'm grateful for it. But that's the downside to me is especially as a starting band, you know, it's hard to just come out off the ground,
Right.
even if you sound great. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's going to take you time. But the other aspect of it is too, and I'm running in circles. But if you are a good band, the people will follow you. You will get paid. You know, it's just you know you put in the work like anything else. So yeah, very competitive to answer the question.
Right. I mean, but has it gotten easier or harder being in the business as long as you've been?
Um, it got easier because I allowed it to get easier for me.
Right.
I think I think I stopped doing it more for for other people. Like I'm gonna say it like that. I think I started to do it. I think it became more of a business at some point where I
Mm-hmm.
started to realize that it's you know I'll say it let's say 5 years ago. I would play to anybody at any time. You know, any bar hired me. You know, because it wasn't as much of a career. Now it's become a career, so
Right.
you have to have standards.
Right.
So that's really what it comes down to for me.
Right.
And it
And you
became
got
part of my
to
career.
allow yourself to be like unique. You know, there's got to be like
Mm,
a sticking point that pushes you towards why are they going to pick you as opposed to somebody else.
exactly, exactly, and that's where like the Queen stuff comes in.
Right.
You
And
know,
if you keep people rocking and you keep people, buying shit and going down the road where it's 1 o'clock in the morning and they still got a fucking packed house.
bingo, name of the
You know,
game. Keep them there. We always say as long as we can keep them there.
exactly, exactly.
And that's the best feeling. I'll be honest. Is like when you start a show. Let's say at 10 or 11 o'clock, and your last set you're done, and it's 2:30 in the morning, and it's the same amount of people as when you started the show at
Hmm.
a bar. Like, I mean, you did something right, you know, or the bartenders did something right. Hmm.
Oh yeah, that I mean, one way or the other. I mean, you slip the bartenders a little extra. They'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Um, but back to the point, and I'm sure he does, Leash. Back to the point that we were talking about before we segued to Leash's question. That the person would say like Jason Isbell, who a country singer from back in the day, or maybe in the '90s or early 2000s, something like that. I'm not really sure
Yeah.
where he's from, but like songs that he would do where he would clear like you could tell he's telling a story in the song, or like a Billy Corgan would tell a story in the song,
Yep.
and that is better than the music made for radio. But it's like, isn't it sometimes better to go the route of what will get you noticed to allow yourself to do the songs that will tell the story?
Yeah. As a yeah. Yes. I'm just gonna say yes. I agree with that. Because it brings people, it gives people ethos. You know, there's feeling when
Right.
you're telling a story. And then, and like you said, and then you can write the radio song.
Right, and you got to, like, the door may be open, but you got to find your way in.
Yeah.
You
No,
know.
I agree with that.
Well, now we've reached a point in the conversation where we reach into our guest Instagram, and it's called "Explain That Gram." Now I'm gonna,
Oh boy.
it's that's what it's. This is the part of the show where we take a deep dive into our guest Instagram. It's called "Explain That Gram," where we pick a random picture. I guess I've seen a few hot ones. I don't actually do it. Maybe one of these days I actually will, but it always gets a reaction, so that's why I do it.
Oh, I got you. I got you. I was like, is this really happening? Because I'm interested. I'll do whatever.
For that, I would have actually had to have done research on pictures on your Instagram. But
it's usually pictures of me performing, my girlfriend and I, sometimes my dog.
well, I know I know certain people in the stream would love to see pictures of pets, but um, uh, but yeah, I mean, I've well, as you can see, I take a little bit of influence from Sean Evans, but
Yeah, you've mentioned them.
yeah, Hot Ones is one of those things that have taken. Shut up, Leash. Petition for the dog to be interviewed.
Hold on.
Asking ye shall
He's right
receive,
here.
Leash. There's
This
Tony's.
is Ziggy, everybody.
Say the name again. I was talking over.
Ziggy.
Ziggy.
Ziggy, say hi.
I knew you. I knew you'd love it, Leash. I knew you'd love seeing the dog.
Wave to everybody, Ziggy. Ziggy got a haircut today.
Yeah, it looks like it. It's a fluffy. He's a fluffy dog. Fluffy doggo.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an Australian Shepherd mixed with a poodle.
And Leash said hi, Ziggy, and said so cute. I also.
Oh, yeah.
I must. It's like I knew you. It's like I know you, Leash. I knew you would love seeing the. I knew you'd love seeing the animal. Or you would have tried to push me to go into Tony's Instagram and look at pictures. But
He's on there somewhere. Yeah, I'm sure he is.
we will.
If not, you'll catch him on a story.
Right. We will go over social media in a minute, but I know you've spoken about. How difficult it is nowadays with how like saturated it is, and
Yeah, the industry for sure.
right, and considering the fact that you have been in the like considering the fact that you've been in the industry as long as you've been, and you've seen it, the changes and all those other aspects. Do you think it's easier from how you started? Is it easier to go that route like you did now, or is it harder now to do the route that you did to get into the music business?
I should think about that more. So I'll say this. Being that TikTok is around,
Mm-hmm.
which I do not participate in, which I know I should. um, Everyone says that it's a lot easier to go viral
Mm-hmm.
today. I saw a stat that 10% of small businesses go viral from TikTok. So I guess if you want to go from that perspective, that if you're a new band, you can just put stuff up on TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
and that could get you whatever, some sort of notoriety.
Hmm.
For me personally, um, I don't do that. So we went the old school route, and we wrote our own songs as kids, and we just tried to come up to the scene. We weren't getting paid really much to play, um, but I just stuck it out. So I guess it's easier in terms of if you're trying to look for like some sort of viral activity today. But if you're looking to just be a live band and do it, um, I don't know. I'd have to really think about that. I think the
Yeah.
viral aspect helps you though. I do.
Yeah, I would agree, and I'm not. I just to point it out, I wasn't laughing at what you were saying. I was looking over at chat
Something.
and
Yeah, yeah.
laughing at they were, or
I
trying
had a
not.
feeling.
I was trying not to laugh as you were talking.
It's all good.
Um, but Leash wanted to know what instruments you play.
Lead vocalist, and I also play a little guitar.
Hmm.
But when I perform with the full band, I'm more of a front man. Yeah.
And Kieran says hello from Scotland.
Scotland, very
Hmm.
nice. That's
Scotland,
pretty cool.
Scotland is represented, and also the UK, England.
Wow. Do you get people from, I guess, all over? I mean, that
Yeah,
says it right there.
Scotland, England, Australia. I think I've gotten people from the Middle East.
Wow.
Um, other places that when they don't tell me where they're from.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. That's so cool, man. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Uh, South America too. I think Brazil. I haven't seen
Nice.
that guy in a while, but early on it was somebody from South America.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
cool, man. I've never I know people listen to like my music and stuff from different countries and
right.
whatnot, but to interact with them for you, that's got to be pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I I mean I know I should, but I will ask more from the perspective of soccer fan because I'm pretty sure he just asked about soccer.
Hmm.
I wasn't going to ask because I had. Are you a soccer fan or?
Not per se. I'm more of a baseball and football guy, like a
Oh, okay,
typical.
okay, Leash. Okay, okay. I know I can't say soccer with Europeans in the chat.
Oh, it's football. That's right.
I know I can't say soccer with Europeans in the chat. I know.
What is our football? American football? How's that?
Yes,
What is that considered? Yeah,
that's
American
it's
football.
American football. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
And Leash says she plays a little bit of piano and a bit of guitar, or she plays piano and can play a bit of guitar.
yeah. I mean, they do coincide
Hmm.
when how to learn each of those. Um, I always feel like if you know how to play the piano, you can play the guitar. And people say vice versa, but I think it's better to know the piano before you
Hmm.
know the guitar. I'm very I'm not great at piano. So that's why I say it, because I
Right.
learned the guitar and I find the piano is challenging, where I think people who know the piano find the guitar to be easy.
Leash says it gives her hope for the guitar because she learned the
There you
piano
go.
first.
There you go. That's just my take.
It's like you read my mind, Leash. I was actually going to ask what you learned first, but you basically gave it away by saying the piano, by saying that. Um,
Right.
now, uh, one thing that popped into my head when we were talking is if you could put one word like just the thought of like being on stage and looking out and seeing all those people, seeing so many people singing along with me, even from a standpoint of somebody that has never done that and will never do that because I'm not like I'm not, on your I'm not a singer. Let's put it that way.
I never thought I'd be doing it either. Let's just say that. It's not
But
it's not for everybody.
um if you could put a word, and this will segue into Alicia's question, if you could put a word on that feeling when you're standing on stage and looking out, or even a few phrases, like how does it feel in that moment? How does it feel?
Uh I have something I do every show. Um, it's and I always have to remember to do it. Uh, at one point in the show, when things are really good, whether it be an indoor or an outdoor show, I don't think about anything and I just soak in what's going on
Hmm.
at some point. And so when that happens, I always have like a memory
Right,
of that night. I
right.
always try to remember this one particular memory of the night. So in one word, um, uh, I don't surreal. I'll just say surreal. It is.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And just to put it out there now, before we go, I will share something with you that I had a thought about, but we'll get to it at the end after all the questions are done. We got some questions from the chat though. Do you still get pre-gig nerves?
I like that question. Um, so yes and no. It's very dependent on where I'm playing. Um, the short answer is no, but sometimes, every now and again, they sneak in, and it's usually for the reason of where I'm playing.
Right.
If it's a new place that I'm maybe very like not sure of who's coming that night, or
Mm-hmm.
if I don't think it's going to be busy, I might get a little nerves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but a shot of tequila before I go on usually does the trick.
Shot of tequila usually helps, and I think Leash would agree with that too. Tequila's her favorite drink.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, same
And,
here.
yeah, mine too. Tequila's up there. Tequila's up there for me. But we could talk about if we start talking about alcohol, we'll be here for a bit. I'm getting to your question now, Kieran. Relax, relax.
Mhm.
Kieran, I'm sure jokingly, well, he did jokingly say he want VIP tickets.
Come on down. If he's coming from, he's from Scotland.
Yes.
I will get him VIP tickets to anywhere he wants. Not a problem.
Just no tequila for you, Kieran, because you're underage.
Oh well.
In America, you're underage. In England, you might not be, but
Mm.
in America, you're underage. Uh,
How if he's under 21, then it'll depend on the venue if I can get him in.
I think I think he just turned 18
Yeah.
or 17 or 18, one or the other.
Nice. Well, I'm glad
Um,
he's tuning in. That's cool.
yeah. You're not yeah, you're not 20 yet, Kieran. No matter what your fake ID says. And yes, of course you can go, Leash. Um, because I've known you for 2 years, Kieran. Or going on 2 years. Um, but now, have you been able to integrate with the social media route? Because I know you started before social media was as the ascension of social media was going. You were starting your journey, but have you? I know you mentioned TikTok, which by the way, Leash said get on that TikTok.
I know.
Uh,
I've
um,
been my
but have you?
my
How
girlfriend
has the
Alyssa.
integrated? How has the integration? And as you were talking with your.
So I was going to say regarding the social media, one of our friends, she keeps telling me, she's like, you just go on TikTok, and just throw videos up every day, stupid videos, and just have fun with it. And I keep saying I'll do it, and I still haven't done it, and um, I need to do it. But that's yeah. So in terms of social media with the band and currently, yeah, I mean you have to use it. It's a full part of the business, if you will. And we're always creating new content and taking videos from what we do live and putting them as posts and stories so that people can see what we do.
Right.
Yeah, that hopefully will bring them to a show, of course.
Kieran, the reason for the reason for the thing is because you deactivated the account. You transferred all your statistics to your current account. That's why there's an error. You remember because I think probably TAC helped you move everything over because you don't use that account anymore. So there's not going to be any stats for that account anymore. Well, yeah, I mean that makes sense, and I mean even after 2.5 years of being on Twitch, I still don't know half the. I still throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. I don't know the
Yep.
first thing about TikTok. I just throw clips from the stream up on TikTok. And
Yeah.
I don't even do that. I don't even do that as much as I used to. I mean, I just started after 8 years of having a YouTube. I started actively actually getting consistent with posting on YouTube.
I saw that you do that, and that's a good thing. That is a good thing.
Hmm.
That's something I've always wanted to do, and I guess I just haven't put my effort into it. So I commend you on that because I know
Right.
that's not easy.
I would need, even being heavily intoxicated, Kieran. It takes a lot for me to get me to dance. In the right audience, I will, because at my cousin's wedding I did. But
There you go.
when a bunch of people bring you into the center of the dance floor, it's hard. That's the problem being one of the groomsmen. You're the center of attention.
You got no choice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Speaking of the wedding, here's the guy that got married. Hey, Webby. um,
Congrats.
but is there any advice to aspiring musicians that you could give? I know we spoke about this a little bit before. Is there any advice to aspiring musicians that you could give?
Just keep working at it. I always say, just keep working at it because that's what keeps me going. I keep
Hmm.
working at it, and I keep discovering new things about the music and about what I can do as a musician and as a performer, and that's what keeps the wheels turning. So just keep working. And that's all that you can do. Is the day you stop working, the day you stop discovering, you stop learning. Um, Music's infinite, so
I
that's the
agree.
great thing about it.
I agree, and I have the same approach with this. That you got to keep evolving and trying to. I mean, before what? When I think I first messaged you back in October about doing this, but the holidays and
Yeah.
all that shit. And as I mentioned, chat, Tony was supposed to be the first Just Chatting stream that I did, but
Yep.
that evolved into Cousin Vic being the first Just Chatting stream, and you guys thoroughly enjoyed seeing me torture myself taste testing hot sauces. Which, if you want to see the archived footage, it is on YouTube.
There it is.
So-
I'll be checking it out after this.
It is up on YouTube as it is. I mean, it is a site to see the world's largest hot sauce collection. But either way, seeing me taste test hot sauces and telling my cousin to go fuck himself is, or
It's good TV.
oh yeah. But also, I will point out that this is going to be on YouTube as well as I keep the archives because Twitch only keeps streams for a week after as an affiliate. So I move it to YouTube to make sure it stays so I don't have to keep it on my computer and it occupies space.
Excellent.
By the way, Leash, if you're having Wi-Fi issues, I might be able to help because I do know I have some working knowledge of computers and internet. So let me know what's going on and I might be able to help. But I did want to ask because you mentioned it with outdoor and indoor shows. From a wrestling standpoint, I've heard that a lot of people say that indoor shows are better because there's a roof.
Mm.
Do you have the same opinion with music, where for those just for those just for those who may not understand what I'm saying, in a outdoor show, and Tony can echo this, the sound has nothing to bounce off of because there's no roof. So it's easier to hear everybody in the audience in an indoor show because, but speak to your preference, speak to what you have to say.
So for me as a performer, I just think it's more enjoyable for the consumer, or the person coming to the show to be at an outdoor show. That's my aspect, just because of the overall environment.
Right.
Being that it's outdoors, it's usually a lot more less confinement. There's more.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times at indoor shows, especially, it can get a little too jammed.
Right.
And people are like on top of you. Where it's an outdoor show, you kind of have a little more room. But in terms of sound, you make a great point. It is much different sound wise. I agree with that. Totally.
And yes, Kieran Webby is a soccer fan. Number one, he might not be present in the stream right now, so he might not notice your question. But yes, I can tell you he is a soccer fan, and a big one at that. I know because he's my cousin. That's, I've mentioned that before, so it's no big surprise. But just to put it out there now, as I will mention it in upcoming streams, that hopefully the next stream, the next time we do one of these, it will be with revisiting with cousin Vic, as I've been in contact with him. It's just that me and Tony were able to work out a day before I can't tell you when I'm going to be with Vic because I don't know, because I was able to work out a day with Tony before I was able to work out a day with Vic. Not to say that I'm not excited to be here talking with Tony, more just to update everybody on the next time we will be doing a Just Chatting stream. But that's a part of the evolution of, changing things and keeping things fresh. I know how much people enjoy taking breaks from gaming and just sitting here watching me interview people, because I think I do a solid job, not to toot my own horn. I think I do a solid job interviewing people and doing research. I did not pay Tony to say that.
Nope.
I think, well, actually, is there ever a hope? I know this might be a stupid question, but is there ever a hope to branch out, or are you more than keen to stay as a local band? Or like if there's if an opportunity presents itself to go elsewhere,
which is cool. Yeah, we've done some shows outside of New York State. And we've gotten hired for some weddings too in different states. So, the opportunities have been definitely coming along nicely. Mm-hmm. And we've also had some opportunities to play. Like, the thing is, it's again, like, we all have day jobs. So if we're gonna go to, say, Florida, it's got to be worth it. Financially, taking off from work and stuff. Right. So we're very, very open to it. And in fact, we have 2 out-of-state shows, I believe, between this year and next year. It's not something that I'm too keen on personally, just because it's a lot of work. It would really just have to be, it's got to be really financially worth it. Like, someone will have to hire us for, like, a big venue, let's say, or for like a wedding, let's say. So definitely open for the opportunities, though. 100%. The gear will travel.
So, Kieran, what he's saying it is possible.
I will be in Scotland.
that maybe at some point he'll be in Scotland
for the right amount of shekels.
He even knows the proper currency. But the little thing, the little maybe tease that I dropped earlier was that the thought actually popped into my. I'd be lying if I said, because from the beginning of the streams, I've always thought about the idea of what can I do to be different. What can I like? I don't that. I'm
this
not,
is unique.
uniqueness and well, that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why I brought back the podcast, because I initially was just talking to Twitch streamers, but if we're taking a break from gaming, why not talk to people who have nothing to do with gaming?
Right.
And talk to a musician. Yeah, that's me. That's what he looks. This is what I'm supposed to wave, right? Yeah.
Right. Somebody tapping me on my shoulder, telling me to wave.
Yeah. But to further it, I've even thought about bigger deals. Like, what about the idea of me going to a show and streaming your show on my account, but DMCA and copyrights and all that shit may, but it's like, is it the same? Like, I don't know. I mean, you might actually be able to speak to this. Is it different with the DMCA and copyright if you're covering the song, or is it still the same rules as far as that's regard if it's a cover and not the actual song?
It's interesting. I have had songs taken off of YouTube that we covered live. So, for example, we covered Hotel California as a band with Floodwire, and it was taken down by, I guess,
well, I
don't know, the powers that be. I don't know how
they,
but
some bands are, and I know them specifically, the Eagles, right?
Yes.
I from what I've heard, they're very strict with they're like Nintendo strict when it comes to copyrights.
Well, I think that's what it is. I think certain bands are more on top of it and others aren't. So, we've done a bunch of covers that have not, gotten taken down. You could see on my on the Krush YouTube and
what I
my
would say,
YouTube.
what I have noticed from my perspective is Twitch seems to be less strict with it than YouTube is.
That's good. Yeah, I think YouTube's probably the most strict. I would agree.
I have Twitch gives you the ability to play copyright royalty-free music that got copyright struck on YouTube, but does not get copyright struck on Twitch.
I gotta switch over to Twitch.
It's not. It doesn't affect your account, but it's just noticed as copyright striked, which means you can't. Which I do think means you can't make money off of it.
Right.
Because
I mean, there's
right.
You're not making much on YouTube anyway, unless you're doing
massive numbers. Yeah.
But you're right. And it's all about. I don't even know too much about it, to be honest, because I've never gotten to that level. But I'm pretty sure it's like subscriber based, also.
Subscriber based and total hours watched.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Or with shorts.
Sure.
Or views with shorts, because they want to play up the shorts.
Yeah, it's more like a TikTok.
Right. Which, this is when Leash would say, get on TikTok.
Yeah, I know. Sooner or later, you'll see it.
But yes, I did actually think about going to you and asking about going to your shows and setting up to stream your shows.
That'd be cool, man. Go for it. I've had people offer to do that before.
I mean, it's a thought. I mean, I don't know how I would do it, but
right.
I mean, as far as I know, all I would need is maybe a video camera and a laptop or something like that, or maybe just a laptop. I don't even know.
I mean it's
I
probably not all that hard.
I could figure it out, but
yeah.
Or give me a tablet. Give me a tablet, and the quality might not be the best, but watch the North Carolina. Watch it with my cousin, and you'll see it affected, but the Wi-Fi affected it. Wi-Fi and reception affected the quality of the stream when I was with my cousin doing taste testing hot sauces.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, when I was taste testing the hot sauces. But I mean, what I what I will say is maybe me and Tony will keep on talking about it, and maybe you guys will hear an announcement about me doing a live stream at a concert. Because I will say I did agree with Tony. I do agree with Tony that I was at the Mile last summer. There was live band, and it did help with the environment and made us want to stay there a little bit longer
Yeah,
because of the live band.
yeah, man. I feel you there. That's it. I work with DJs, but I would rather see a live band over a DJ.
Yeah. And but I mean, this is where I would. Well, this is where we gotta cover the last thing, and the last thing is
Sure.
where can people find you?
Sure. Yeah. So on Instagram, it's I post almost daily with the band. It's Krush with a K, KRUSH dot band. We're also having a website created. It's going to be crushtheband.com. That's KRUSHTHEBAND.com. And we also have a Facebook, again, Crush, KRUSH. Me personally, I'm Tony Tone on Instagram, TONYTONE 2611. Yeah, those are gonna be the best spots to find me. And I have a YouTube page. You can look up my name. It's just Tony TONY, last name ARTOGLOU, Artoglou. Um, those are the best spots for sure to find any sort of. Oh, and actually, I forgot all sort of streaming platforms. You can find my single 3 Years. You can find. It's called 3 Years by Tony Artoglou and Rob Riccolo, my bass player. He and I co-wrote a song. It's called 3 Years. That's on every streaming platform. That's Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, etc.
Well, before we go, it's only fitting that everybody hears. Have you ever seen the rain? That's what it's called, right?
Which one?
The one I played before. Ever seen?
Have you ever seen the rain?
Yeah,
Yeah, CCR.
yeah. As we test it out again.
Told me long ago, there's a
I mean, I'll be honest, Chet. I'm just glad that the command video prompt worked.
It's been coming for some
Because I will not do this that often, as it is very frustrating to me.
when it's over, so the same. It'll rain or something.
That's the one with Evan, right?
I know.
Yeah, you're in the brick wall. You're behind a brick wall.
Yeah,
Or in front of a brick
yeah.
wall.
That's at Kraft in Lynbrook.
And I wanna know, have you ever seen the rain? And I wanna know, have you ever seen the rain? Coming down on a summer day.
And since you mentioned it before we go, as a aficionado of the alcoholic beverages, I feel like it would be inept not to mention or not to ask. I know you said tequila, but go to when you know you don't have to keep your composure, which I'd assure you have to keep your composure and keep your faculties about you.
Do I? No.
I mean, it depends. I mean,
kidding, I'm kidding.
I don't
You're
know.
right.
I mean, I don't know how you are when you can let loose. You know.
Drink of choice, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, drink of choice.
My go-to is 1800 tequila. That's my go-to. Silver, 1800 tequila. And if I'm going to put a backslash with that, it's going to be Casamigos.
That'll put hair on your chest.
Yep.
That'll
Yep.
put hair on your chest.
Exactly.
That'll put fucking hair on your chest. I know. I've had Casamigos before.
Smooth.
Fireball's the only thing that goes down smooth for me with shots.
Fireball, you said?
Yeah, but
Oh wow.
Southern Comfort definitely is my go-to, but that's got to stop being my go-to
Ooh.
as bad nights have come from drinking too much Southern Comfort.
Gotcha.
You know, when you paint your bathroom wall, it's
That's amazing.
And no, Chet, that is not where those clips came from. That is not where those clips came from of me drunk. But Leash, if you are still here, you unlocked a new character of a new Mike character as Mike drunk, as there are clips of me drunk from the day of the Giants playoff game, a week and a half
Is
ago.
this on YouTube?
No, it's over here on Twitch.
Oh, okay.
I was going to make clips. But I don't know
Make it
how.
short.
I just didn't know how well that looked as far as
No, I
me
know. Professionalism.
praising. I was tempted. I was very
Yeah.
close, but pushing me being a top. I mean, at least I was here. At least I was
Yeah.
home, so I was safe. I was safe and sound. I ended up passing out short, on stream a little bit after, but that's beside the point. You have we all have our stories,
Oh yeah.
which may not
For
be
sure.
which may be the case for a conversation off stream.
There you go.
But
You're funny, man. This was great.
but it's I just gotta say before we go, thank you. I am happy that we have had the opportunity to finally get to this, and that the holidays passed, efficiently. That well, yeah, I'm happy we got to this because we've been planning this for going on almost 4 months. Don't even know how. Yeah, I think 3 months. 3 months. Going on almost
Yeah.
3 months. And I'm happy that we were able to get to this. Thank you for taking the time.
Of course. Yeah. It was a pleasure. And I had a blast. An hour and a half flew by. It felt like it was 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been keeping track of the time, but I do
It's
appreciate.
funny, like you said. No, of course. You said it to me when we first got on. Like I don't even know how long we were into it. And you're like, well, I haven't introduced him yet, so let's go back and introduce him because we started talking like we known each other for 30 years and just started going at it. And
Yeah,
it was cool, man. I really enjoyed this. I
yeah.
really enjoyed this.
I mean, and like I said, Chet, it might be a tease, but I'm actually talking seriously. That if me and Tony could figure out the semantics, maybe you will see me at a live show,
There you go.
one of Tony's shows down the
We'd
road,
love to have you.
streaming, dialing up the stream and getting things going. But again, thank you to Tony for joining us.
Thanks,
And
Mike.
if you guys if you guys want to find him, again, it's Tony Tone on Instagram. I mean, Tony Tone on Instagram, and you type in Tony Tone, it will come up. It's
Tony Tone 2611 on Instagram.
2611.
That's the official handle.
And then you can find everything else from there. Krush,
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
else. You search him up on YouTube, you will find his name, which his name is right there in the top left.
Oh,
You
cool.
can find him on YouTube. Because if I found him on YouTube, as you can, because that's where I got the clip from. But anything else, I once again will say it till I'm blue in the face. Thank you to Tony for joining us.
My pleasure, Mike. Have a great night, my friend.
You too. I will be in touch, buddy.
Thank
Have a
you.
great night.
Bye-bye.
Later, buddy. Honestly, chat, that's the first time I did a call through Instagram or a call of that length through Instagram. And it was by far probably a lot better than. Yeah, I know Facecam was off because I had it with Instagram. I had it through the call, Kieran, because it can't be turned on in two different programs. But before we go, I figured it would be fitting enough to pop up his YouTube account. This is Mr. Tony's YouTube. As you can tell, there is. It's been a bit since he last uploaded, but he does have content up here. And as I also said, the shorts get more content, more views than mine, but that's beside the point. But now we're going to pop over back to Twitch. And as I mentioned, the next time, we will be back with, maybe down the road we'll be back with Tony. Maybe down the road we'll get back with Tony. I have no problem with that. But the next time we will be visiting out with our streams is the Just Chatting streams is hopefully going to be revisiting with my cousin Vic, the man behind the hot sauces, and hopefully that will pave the way in some form or fashion to the local hot sauce stream with me, my cousin, and my brother that we were going to do at some point. But I will say the one thing that is set in motion, and we will get more information on as time gets closer, that is what's it called? That is what the fuck is it called? The charity stream, because we decided on working with Stack Up, and a charity stream is set for April 5th to the 7th. But as I mentioned, depending on how long we had with Tony, that would depend on how long we kept streaming. But with the fact of the matter being that we are done now. I think it is fair to say that we are moving away from. That we don't need to keep the stream going because I do have other things that I need to do today. So with that being said, it's time for the raid, and I'm gonna send you guys over to Yukon. But before we go, I will remind you that we will be back tomorrow with another stream. As we are going to jump over to Apex and Rocket League. So Kieran, if you're still here and if you're still around and you want to play Rocket League tomorrow, then we will be on Rocket League tomorrow. But also on Sunday, it is 8 years of Wrestling Express, and on Friday I will be putting out the schedule and the expected games to play on the anniversary stream on Sunday. Right now, it is revolving around the return of Fall Guys. Maybe the return of Fall Guys, Marbles on stream, and a few other games. But we'll see what happens in that regard. With that being said, as far as that's concerned, we will put out the schedule for Sunday stream on Friday. And also, I should probably work on the stream schedule for next week, because we are moving into a new month, and updates will come on Tony Hawk and the next set of the next GTA games that we play, because we have a whole host of GTA games to get to as the year continues to progress, because we have 5 different GTA games in the backlog to get to, including the GTA trilogy, which means GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas will be showing up on stream at some point or another. But if you want to see the updates, if you want to see this archived, then the best place to go for that is, well, Wrestling Express on YouTube. Because that's where it's going to end up. But like I said, I'm going to raid Yukon. Mr. Yukon is playing PUBG Mobile. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another stream. We will be off on Friday, back on Saturday with GTA 4, and then Sunday will be 8 years of Wrestling Express. The anniversary stream comes on Sunday, so if you're here for any stream, make sure it's Sunday, January 29th, when we celebrate 8 years of Wrestling Express. Till next time, though, chat, I will start the raid before I finish saying what I'm about to say, because I learned a lesson to not finish the outro before I finish the raid. Either way, though, chat, I do appreciate everybody stopping in and hanging out. Much love, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this return to just chatting and Tony's presence in the stream. Much love, chat, and I will see you guys. Go enjoy PUBG with Mr. Yukon.